Chapter 6003. Hearing that Nanako wanted to try again, Master Jingqing didn't think much about it. He nodded in agreement and said, "If the devotee wants to successfully enter the unconscious world, the safest way is to abandon the 7 emotions and 6 desires." Nanako was silent for a moment and murmured, "If you cut off the 7 emotions and 6 desires, what's the point of living?" Master Jingqing said without thinking, "Only by cutting off the 7 emotions and 6 desires can we have the chance to become one like a Buddha and better save all sentient beings." Nanako shook her head and said seriously, "With all due respect, isn't it a kind of 7 emotions and 6 desires if you wholeheartedly seek Buddha? Isn't it also a kind of 7 emotions and 6 desires if you wholeheartedly think about saving all sentient beings? Of course, it is true to save all sentient beings, but not everyone has the same feelings for themselves. If he is not satisfied with the current situation, if he lives a happy and contented life, why does he need others to help him?" Nanako said, "Besides, since I have my own family and sweetheart, I can't put them out of my mind. Even if I can leave them all behind, but since I wholeheartedly want to enlighten, pursuing enlightenment is another desire of mine. The moment I enter the sea of consciousness and jump down, it is for enlightenment. But to deceive myself, or to deceive the sea of consciousness, I am clearly here for it. But if I want it to think that I have no desires or wishes, wouldn't that be tantamount to deceiving it?" Master Jingqing was startled for a moment, then sighed softly. What the devotee said is not unreasonable. After that, he asked her, "Then what does the devotee plan to try this time?" Nanako shook her head, "I don't know. I just want to try again, no matter success or failure. Today I won't bother Master anymore." Master Jingqing said, "The poor monk has plenty of time, so the devotee doesn't have to worry." Nanako nodded gratefully, then closed her eyes and once again used the method of introspection to let her spiritual consciousness come to the sea of consciousness. As before, Nanako was still trying her best to push her consciousness to a higher level this time. However, the previous attempt consumed a lot of energy. This time, it was obviously much more difficult to push up. However, despite the difficulty, Nanako is still trying her best to make this attempt. It was also during this process that she finally understood why it took Master Jingqing 8 years to reach enlightenment. He always tried so hard to move his spiritual consciousness to higher places, which consumed a lot of energy and physical strength. After trying it twice, don't know how long it will take to relieve this mental fatigue. In addition, enlightenment is a matter of thousands of continuous attempts. A few years of enlightenment is already considered a short time in the long process of cultivation. Nanako tried her best to push her consciousness to the extreme that her state could reach. When she realized that all her energy had been exhausted, she instantly relaxed completely and allowed her consciousness to fall freely from the height. In the process of her whereabouts this time, various thoughts were still frantically impacting her consciousness. Just like the last time, they were all about her parents, relatives, and Charlie, who she thought about day and night. She finally realized that the reason why so many thoughts suddenly came to her at this time must be because of this feeling of free fall, which gave her a feeling of dying. And this feeling of dying will naturally make people think of many people and things. Nanako did not try to forget everything and abandon the 7 emotions and 6 desires as Master Jingqing said. She just subconsciously thought. Master Jingqing said that you cannot jump directly into this sea of consciousness, but you must integrate into it. Then does this mean that divine consciousness and the sea of consciousness are inherently fusionable? The only difference is that some people have mastered the way of fusion, but some people never get it. Thinking of this, Nanako's heart suddenly moved. The sea of consciousness is in my body, in my Zafu. So I should know me best. It must know that it is impossible for me to abandon the 7 emotions and 6 desires. If so, it will require me to abandon the 7 emotions and 6 desires in order to be with it. Integration, then this itself becomes an unsolvable paradox. Does this mean that my consciousness has no chance to integrate with it? If that is the case, I will not be able to integrate with it in this life for enlightenment. At this moment, Nanako's consciousness fell into the silent and picturesque sea of consciousness again. The powerful impact smashed her consciousness into the depths of the sea of consciousness. And Nanako's consciousness was severely damaged again. The entire consciousness had no strength to resist. Then, the huge pressure from the sea of consciousness swept over her again. And her consciousness was about to rush towards the sea. Nanako was a little desperate at this time. It was not that 2 failures made her give up, but she knew herself. Even if she could let go of her deceased mother and her father who had recovered health and was enjoying his old age, she could not let go of Charlie. Her new life was given to her by Charlie.